She told me I was holding her back, so I walked away and started. She always had that look in her eyes, restless, like she was constantly searching for something just out of reach. At first, I thought it was ambition. Later, I realized it was just dissatisfaction in disguise. We met in college, Arizona State. She was this whirlwind of sarcasm, ambition, and charm, and I was the quiet guy who listened more than he spoke. Her name was Lila. We clicked instantly, probably because I let her take the spotlight. I was fine being the guy who stood beside her, supported her dreams, proofread her grad school essays at 2 a.m., made her smoothies after her yoga sessions, and held her when her startup ideas crashed. It felt like a partnership, until it didn't. Fast forward 5 years, and we were living together in Seattle. I worked in IT support at a small cybersecurity firm. She had bounced around between projects, startups, brand collabs, coaching businesses, all very entrepreneurial, but none of them stuck. Then, out of nowhere, she landed a mentorship with a successful female VC in the Bay Area. It should have been a good thing, but it's funny how success can change people, not gradually, like the tide, but like a switch flipped in the middle of a storm. It started with the little things. She stopped inviting me to her networking events, stopped introducing me to people when I did tag along. She began dressing different, talking different, always on edge. One day she came home with a new haircut, a designer handbag, and a look in her eyes I hadn't seen before. That night over dinner, between bites of her salmon and quinoa bowl, she said it. "I just feel like you're holding me back." She said it like she was telling me we were out of almond milk. Casual, dismissive, like the years we'd spent building something didn't weigh enough to count. I laughed, thinking it was a joke, but she didn't even blink. "I mean, look at you," she continued. "You're still in that dead-end IT job. You don't understand the hustle I'm in. You're playing small. And I'm not." Her voice had a ring of pity in it, like she'd already rehearsed this in front of a mirror. I wish I could say I argued, fought for us, pleaded with her to see reason. But I didn't. I just sat there, stunned. Then I got up, packed a duffel bag, and left. No screaming. No dramatic monologues. Just silence. But here's the part she never saw coming. I wasn't broken. In fact, walking away from her was the smartest thing I ever did. I didn't call friends. Didn't vent on social media. I stayed off the radar. I booked a small cabin up near Kalispell, Montana, off the grid. I spent a month figuring things out. What I wanted. Who I had become while I was busy playing supporting actor in her drama. Then I remembered something. Years ago, I'd built a small script to detect phishing patterns in emails, just a hobby back then. But in Montana, with time and silence on my side, I turned that dusty old code into something sharper, smarter. I polished it, built a clean UI, tested it with open source data, and then I reached out to an old college buddy, Marco, now a lead engineer at a major security firm. He gave me two things, encouragement and funding. 2 months after Lila told me I was holding her back, I registered my own company, Scythex Security Solutions. She never asked where I went, never checked in. She probably assumed I crawled back to my mediocre job and pitted myself into oblivion. But karma doesn't send alerts. It arrives like a shadow, patient, quiet, and watching. And for Lila, the shadow had just started to follow. 3 months after I walked out of Lila's life, Scythex Security landed its first corporate client. A mid-sized marketing firm had suffered a massive data breach, and our tool flagged the phishing vectors their internal IT had missed for months. We weren't just good. We were better than half the overpriced junk peddled by established names. Marco helped spread the word. The startup space was tight-knit, and word of mouth moved fast, especially when someone young, unknown, and effective showed up. By January, we'd secured angel investment and were onboarding 3 more clients. And through all this, I kept quiet. No Instagram posts, no LinkedIn victories, no emails to Lila. I wanted my silence to feel heavy, like the calm before a quake. Then, 6 months after I left, she popped up on my radar again. My college roommate Josh sent me a clip from a podcast, The Firestarter Women of Silicon Valley. There she was, Lila, now Lila Maddox, rebranded and dripping in confidence, wearing a pantsuit that probably cost more than my monthly rent back in college. She was being praised for launching a coaching program for female entrepreneurs. All buzzwords and bold claims. Except one detail stood out. She mentioned her platform had developed proprietary cybersecurity protocols to protect women-led businesses. I knew that language. Hell, it was my language. The system she described? It wasn't original. It was eerily similar to something I'd built for her as a side project 2 years ago when she was brainstorming her first coaching startup. She'd begged me to make her something simple but slick to pitch in her deck. At the time, I didn't care about credit. I just wanted to help her. Now, she'd repackaged my code, slapped her brand on it, and was selling it as her own. The worst part? It was flawed. She didn't understand the inner workings. One misstep, one update pushed wrong, and the entire platform would be vulnerable. So I waited. I attended her next virtual demo under a fake name, Matthew Cole. It was a joke between Marco and me, Cole as in cold. Her platform looked great, sure, but I spotted 3 gaping vulnerabilities in less than 10 minutes. And then, just like fate was scripting this thing with a flair for the dramatic, I got a call. One of her new clients, an e-commerce startup, had reached out to us at Scythex. They were concerned after their internal tests showed odd traffic patterns. They weren't happy with Lila's security suite. When they sent me a sample of the code, I recognized every line, word for word, even the damn typos I had left in my test version. She hadn't stolen my concept. She'd lifted my entire prototype. I could have gone straight to a lawyer, could have shut her down in a day, but that's not how you make someone feel the full weight of what they tried to discard. No, I had a better idea. I reached out to a mutual acquaintance, Alyssa Trent, one of the venture capitalists Lila had tried and failed to impress before. Alyssa loved results, hated copycats. I offered to demo my software under NDA. She was intrigued. 30 minutes into the call, Alyssa was silent. Then she just said, This is what Lila wishes she had. I didn't say a word about Lila. Didn't have to. By the next quarter, Scythex got its first institutional funding from Alyssa's VC firm. And Lila? She was still flashing smiles on panels, too arrogant to know the floor beneath her was beginning to crack. 2 months after our VC deal closed, Scythex was everywhere. We weren't just a buzzword. We were a disruptor. Our system exposed flaws in multiple small to mid-tier security tools, many of which were being quietly used in the background of trendy, entrepreneurial platforms, including Lila's. I didn't attack her. That would have been too obvious. I simply launched a white paper, The Hidden Dangers of Bootstrapped Security and Coaching Platforms. It was clinical, technical. We never named her product, but we didn't have to. Anyone in the space who knew what they were looking at saw it. The article gained traction. Tech blogs picked it up. A few cybersecurity forums ran deep dives. And within a week, people started asking questions, first quietly in private Slack groups, then openly on X, Reddit, and YouTube. Influencers began roasting vague, faux tech girl bosses whose products were just repackaged ex-boyfriend prototypes. Lila tried to ignore it at first. She posted selfies with motivational captions, pushed testimonials, even booked herself onto a startup talk show where she smiled wide and said she was excited by challenges. But the pressure cooked beneath the surface. Her biggest client, a luxury wellness brand, sent her a termination notice. Apparently, they'd run their own audit after reading our paper and found the exact vulnerabilities I'd known would show up. She tried blaming a disgruntled ex-developer. That's when I knew she'd realized it was me. One day she called. Blocked number. I answered out of curiosity. You could have just said something, she said. Her voice was calm, but not steady. There was a tremor there, small, but unmistakable. I did, I said. When I walked away, there was a silence that stretched too long. Then she tried guilt. You know I believed in you. I pushed you to grow. I chuckled. You told me I was holding you back. I didn't mean it like that. Sure you did. And honestly, thanks. That sentence built my company. She never called again. A month later, her platform was quietly taken down. Her coaching site redirected to a 404. She disappeared from panels. The VC circles blacklisted her quietly. Reputation is everything in that space, and hers was now radioactive. I heard from a mutual friend that she moved back to Phoenix to reset, teaching online marketing at a local community college. Nothing wrong with that. But for someone who once said I was the anchor on her rocket ship, it must have felt like watching the stars disappear. As for me, Scythex grew faster than I imagined. We weren't just surviving, we were scaling. I built a small but loyal team. I even hired interns from Arizona State. Something about that felt poetic. One of them asked me once, over coffee, what motivated me to start this all. I smiled. Someone once told me I wasn't enough. He nodded, like he understood. But he didn't know the whole story. Not the version with betrayal, with silence as weapon, with quiet revenge written in code. She told me I was holding her back. So I walked away and started building something she could never catch. And when she finally looked back to see how far ahead I'd gone, I made sure she couldn't even find the road. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.